I know when I'm talking with a fellow watch guy and we're talking about our collections, one of my favorite things is just hearing why each person loves the watches that they own. You know, why is it special? Why is it in your collection? We've got a really fun collection highlight to talk about today from a viewer of the channel, Eric T. Eric has done a fantastic job of sending in video of each one of his 10 core pieces to his collection. And I've asked him to give a little audio of why he loves the watch, what makes it tick for him, and because that's my favorite thing. And I think a lot of you guys are really going to identify with the reasoning here that you'll hear from Eric. So without further ado from me, I'm going to show you Eric's collection from the video and the audio that he sent in. There's 10 awesome pieces, a lot of variety, everything from G-Shock to vintage to modern Rolex to Moser to Seiko, and it's pretty cool. So let's get into that, and then at the end, I'm going to wrap it up and give you guys my thoughts.
The G-Shock, man, is this thing fun. Really tactical looking with this gray red configuration in the dial and the big kind of port style case. I'm not thrilled with the work that Casio does on their rubber straps. I think they're pretty subpar, but I put this on a J&K's conversion kit and then a NATO strap. And you can see this watch. This is actually the watch I wear when I'm doing sports, and in my men's softball league, I wear it for that. So it's got a lot of baseball field sand on it. I was first exposed to this watch because I bought one for my buddy who was joining the Marine Corps, and I thought it was so cool that I wanted to have one for myself. So I don't know if he still has his or not, or if it broke over time. I don't think he could break these, but he might have lost it. But I still have mine, and we actually play on the same softball team now, so it's special for me because of that reason too. So this is the big boy. This is the end game for the collection. I saw this released at SIHH 2019, and again, being a sucker for blue dials, the Moser Cie Endeavour Blue Lagoon was just it. I discovered my grail in 2019. I didn't think I'd ever get one because they're pretty expensive and they only made 50 pieces. I had two other Mosers prior to this, one of which I wasn't thrilled with the case size. So I reached out to a jeweler down in Florida, an AD, to see if they had something different, any other type of Moser. And they had this in rose gold, and I didn't really like the rose gold configuration, but he called me back a couple days later, and fortunately someone had passed on the white gold piece for a Breguet Marine, and I just moved on it immediately. It is so cool under different lights. Under yellow light, it's got a turquoise green dial. Under white spotlights, it explodes in the cerulean blue color I love so much. So the white gold case really flies under the radar, and what makes Moser so special, they're an independent, so equity stakeholders aren't dictating how the company designs and makes watches. They do it all themselves. I'm a sucker for rose gold. The collection was lacking in Omega, and I started looking online for something under $2,000 that was in, rose gold, real rose gold, precious metal. And I came across this 1959 Omega Seamaster from a watch repair shop out in Sacramento, and it's in amazing shape. The dial is patinaed from this white to almost an ivory color, and it complements the rose gold case perfectly. It's a little small at 34 millimeters, but it's in great shape, and the color of the rose gold, it's great. It's almost like a red gold, so it's a little bit deeper than pink or rose, and I just love that copper tone. So because of that, this watch is really, really special. The 1601 Datejust Wide Boy. I have always been resistant to Rolex. I always just saw myself as like a watch snob, and that, Rolex was more of a marketing company than a watch company. Granted, they were the best marketing company in the world after Apple, but I never really bought into the value proposition they offered. But then I started diving into some more vintage pieces. I was watching some posts by Christian and Theo and Harris, and then I went to a shop and I found this beautiful and rare configuration of the Datejust. And, for $3,600, it was the perfect dive into the brand. I didn't have to shell an arm and a leg. I got something with precious metal, vintage appeal, and near mint condition. I took it to my local watchmaker, Whittle's Watchworks. He does fantastic work. He's in Philadelphia on the main line. And he polished up the hands and the indices and really brought this watch back to life. But now I love it. I wore it on my first date with my girlfriend, and she loves the watch too. And it's just got this elegance to it, but you can dress it down a little bit with the leather straps. The Rolex Oyster Perpetual 114-300 with the white dial and 39 millimeter. After I bought the vintage Datejust, I decided I wanted the real Rolex experience. I wanted to go to the dealer. I wanted to get the paper signed in person. I wanted to drink the champagne. So this was my 30th birthday present to myself, and it is a great all-around watch. The steel bracelet's amazing, 100 meters water resistant. I wear it swimming, I wear it hiking. The white dial is like a chameleon, different tones under different shades of light. And it's amazing that they were able to do a white dial with white indices and still provide enough contrast for it to be legible. My favorite quote, Jack Forrester at Hodinkee said, "It's a watch first and a Rolex second." I think that's what makes it so special. You know, there are Submariners out there, but I got the Black Bay, which scratches that, Rolex kind of brand diver luxury itch. So this watch was just perfect for me. The watch that started it all, the 1996 Sears catalog Armatron Quartz Tasmanian Devil Railroad Pocket Watch. Like so many other kids grew up in 90s of that bygone era, the best option for Christmas presents was retail catalogs. And every year my parents and grandparents would give me a Sears catalog and I'd get to pick something out. And in 1996, this was my choice at the age of 7. And this started the whole addiction. It's actually really funny because this thing never left my side for a couple of years when I first got it, but it also has really great finishing on the inside of the case. You flip it open and there is this concentric perlage pattern. And for a $32 watch, it's pretty amazing. I know $32 back then was actually quite a bit more money, but I'm just so happy with this thing, and it really started the whole addiction. So I follow all the YouTube watch reviewers, obviously with Bruce Williams being my favorite, but I watch these videos with the same devotion that someone watches, sports on Sunday. The Seiko Flightmaster reference SNA 411. I saw this watch for the first time on the Urban Gentry watch channel hosted by TGV. I believe he has a black dial version, but he posted a picture once online of this polar Arctic dial with the kind of navy panda setup. And I just thought this thing was so cool. It's great because it reminds me of kind of a mini Breitling. And it's got the chronograph hand actually has a smooth sweep. So it's kind of reminiscent of a traditional mechanical watch, but it's got the low price point and durability of a quartz watch. And it's 200 meters water resistant. So it's just a great all-arounder. The Seiko Jade Monster. This is a really special piece to me. It was at the time when my sister was about to get married and all the groomsmen were wearing teal accents with our gray suits. So teal ties and teal 3-button vests. And this watch came out around the same time that the Grand Seiko Peacock came out. And at the time, I didn't have about $7,000 to spend on a watch, but I wanted something that was going to be special for my sister's wedding day that went with the outfit. And luckily, after just watching Bruce's channel, he was reviewing this Seiko Jade Monster. And this watch, for the price point and for what I needed it for, was perfect. It matched the wedding outfit perfectly, and now it's this special watch that Bruce introduced to me that I wore at my sister's wedding, so this thing is going to stay in the collection forever. So I'm a sucker for blue, and a specific shade of blue. I love cerulean blue. There are 2 watch companies that have cerulean blue dials and that are just fantastic, and that's the Vacheron Constantin Overseas and the FP Journe Chronomètre Bleu, which are both really expensive pieces. But when I saw the release of the Seiko Presage Shippo Enamel reference SBP073J1, my heart kind of melted. It's got this, because of all the layers of enamel, it's got a 3-dimensional aspect to it, and it is the perfect tone of blue. Really cool that Seiko found this cloison artist, Wataru Totani, and he handcrafted all these dials, and it's just, the blue is just the perfect blue in my opinion. Less FP Journe Chronomètre Bleu, but within well-reasoned price point, this is probably the best blue dial I think you can get in the whole market. So the Tudor Black Bay Heritage, the reference 79220R. This is a luxury piece that has been in my collection actually the longest. I've done a lot of trades and swaps and credit towards purchases over time, but I saw this watch for the first time at a Tourneau store and then watched a review on it on GMT-5, I believe the YouTube channel was. And I just love that it has this like vintage curved text in this gilt rose gold tone, and that the dial is more of a chocolate brown than black, and the bezel action is perfect. And, you know, it's still aluminum, so it's going to fade over time. And I'm hoping that the dial turns more brown over time, and this burgundy wine bezel will turn to sort of like magenta or pink. But it's got an ETA movement, so it's cheap to service. And I think these things are really going to be special down the road as Tudor's first kind of big push back into the North American market.
That was pretty awesome, wasn't it? Eric, you've got a natural talent for talking about your watches. You really should consider starting a watch YouTube channel or maybe a podcast or something, because you got a nice, just a nice flow to the way you talk about your watches, and the passion comes through. I really can feel your excitement and your love of your pieces. And it's also evident when you look at the condition and you look at the wrist shots that you've sent in. I mean, you obviously wear and love your watches. I personally, I love seeing a scratched up, worn Rolex. I do the same thing. My GMT Master too has some really nice wear marks from, you know, camping and traveling and all, you know, just different things over the years. So I love seeing that from you. And I think we're a lot alike. Like you say you wanted at 7, you know, you didn't want Legos. You didn't want something like a dinosaur toy or something. You wanted a pocket watch. And I think that's awesome. I wanted a pocket watch when I was a kid too. I was a little bit older than 7, but I remember getting one and just thinking I was the cat's pajamas, wearing my pocket watch with the little chain inside my pocket and clipping it to my pants. So, dude, I think we're a lot alike. We'd get along if we lived in the same state. But you've got a great collection. I really love the variety. I love that you have everything from vintage to modern Rolex to Seiko. I mean, and not just the popular SKX or something. You've got the Shippos, you know, the craftsmanship, the hands-on. You got the odd Jade monster, which, you know, I love my Jade monster, and we've owned some of the same watches here, like with the Black Bay. But I just love the variety. I love how you have a little bit of everything. You still have the watch that started it all, that Tasmanian Devil pocket watch. I don't have the watch that started it all for me, and I think a lot of the guys watching this, they probably don't have the exact piece. So it's cool that you do. And so I just like the variety, and I think I will end with this. I think it's awesome. I mean, beyond awesome that you got your Grail watch. I'd love to get there one day. I know everyone watching this, we all aspire to get that Grail watch. So the fact that you were able to do it this year, dude, just big congrats to you. Kudos to you. I mean, that is so cool. That's what we all aspire to. And I think that Moser, man, the white gold 50 limited edition with the color play, the independent factor, what a Grail to attain. So big congrats to you. That is dang awesome. So thank you, Eric, for sending this in, talking a little bit about each one of your watches. I really enjoyed this. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this as well. If anyone wants me to highlight their collection, or if you want to talk about your watches here on my channel, send me an email. My email is in the description of this video. So again, thanks guys. Thanks, Eric. And we'll see you guys in the next video.